it's Lisa. Today seems like a perfect day to do these photos from last winter. We didn't really have much of a snow. We've just a very light snow, and there was some ice, and it made this beautiful glistening kind of look, and that's the title I'm going to use for the page is Glisten. And mostly I just want to do this cute photo of my cat rolling around on the concrete porch like they like to do. It's an appropriate day to do this. It's the middle of November, and it's the first day that it's gotten down below freezing. This is the warmest and horribly driest fall we have ever had. So there are forest fires burning to the west of me, and I certainly hope we will get some rain and we can get past that. This morning, though, I'm going to work on this layout using this sketch with a 4x6 photo, and then I'm going to cut the kitty in a round shape. I think I drew 3 inches here, but whatever is the appropriate size to get all of them in. Don't want to cut his little tail off. And then we're going to do some embellishments, probably snowflakes is usually, what I do for these kind of pages, even though this is more ice. I was looking for background paper, and I found this piece. I have had this for years. This is from Pebbles. It was a baby collection, but the reason I bought it was this sort of true blue, like sky blue kind of look, but I've just never quite had the right page for it, and I kind of like it with this. I like the little dots and things. They're raised. They have a little texture to them. So I kind of like that for the page. I also like these. I guess it's going to be a mixture of old and new here on this layout. I have these rhinestones from Kaiser. I've had a really long time also, and I do have the word glisten in these letters. So I can make that on here, but I'm going to have something to put it on because it's not going to really show up very well on this background. Well, it wouldn't be too bad on the background, but I think we should probably get something a little bit darker there, and we have place to put some designer paper, and then either some trim or something cut perhaps in scallops to go around this edge, something softer to go with that. And then I've got plenty of rhinestones here that I thought I'd use for these embellishments there. So it's kind of a simple page, but it should have lots of room for some fun things. I pulled out this collection from Basic Grade called Urban Luxe. It's not anything urban, of course, but there are things like these sequins that I think would be pretty. So we've got those that we can use, some of those blue sequins. And let's take a look at the papers, because I am going to need a small piece of paper, so I might find something here in the 6x6. There's probably nothing in the embellishments that came with this that are going to be the right things for the theme. I also looked at the 12x12 papers here, and there was one possibility. I don't really want to go with something that dark. There was this, but I like this better, I believe. There's still some gorgeous papers in here I'm going to use one of these days. All right, let's see what we have in the 6x6, and there may be something there and there may not. That's a little dark. Better. So either that, of course I'm going to have to do something with those scallops, or this. Do I want to get into the pinks? Looks good. There's not really a specific memory from this other than it was just, the only real cold spell with any kind of snow or ice that we had last winter. It doesn't show up that hot on that. Oh, it shows up much better on this. So maybe we'll just stick with blue. Blue on blue. And I've got some silver paper. That would work really well. I might do those scallops and designs in silver paper. I might even cut something on the silhouette. I think that would look good. So we put this down here, and we'll cut off a little piece of this blue and do the word glisten. And we're going to cut this in a circle. So let's go ahead and get it the right size straight off. So I'm cutting these with my Creative Memories cutters, and I'm just figuring out which one is the right size. It's probably going to be closer to 4 inches. I actually did one that was too big because it didn't quite fit on with a perfect circle around there, so I had to cut it a little bit smaller, but still it's getting close to 4 inches, I think, was the finished size for this. And I'm going to go ahead and put my letters on my designer paper. Put a couple of them on there and then I'll do the rest off camera. These came off and lined up surprisingly well. I hadn't used these in a long time and I didn't remember how they did. I have die cut on the silhouette a couple of snowflakes out of the silver paper from Stampin' Up, and then I've used some basic gray color paper from Stampin' Up to do the little borders there, just some scalloped borders, but I'd like to give them a little bit of sparkle. So I'm adding some Versamark ink just lightly over them and using some crystalled embossing powder. This is Iridescent Ice from Stampin' Up. Of course, there are plenty of other brands of this. Just to add a little bit of sparkle. Kind of go with our glistening theme. These are going to be a bit long and I'm going to need to trim them down, but I went ahead and added the embossing powder to the whole thing. And then just sort of trimmed the edge off and made kind of a nice edge to it so that the scallops are kind of finished. And I'm mitering the corners, that is cutting them on the diagonal like you would a picture frame. Not perfect miters, just, you know, kind of eyeballing it so that they'll come together there in the corner. I have a new toy, not new for most people, but I have never had the ATG gun. I never wanted one because I thought it was too big and I didn't think I'd like using it. I'm still getting the hang of it. It's kind of sticking to everything right there, but it works really well in terms of the adhesive. Sticks really, really well. And so I like that, and I think I'm getting the hang of getting the adhesive onto the paper and not sort of coming off along with the, when I pick up the gun, not the adhesive not coming off with it. I think I'm finally getting the hang of it. And we're going to put a little bit more of this scallop down there underneath the word glisten, and I found some designer paper in that basic gray paper that's a gray and white that looked really pretty with this. Yeah, if this sticky stuff will stay on this embossed background paper, then it'll stick to a lot of stuff, so I'm very pleased with that. And there we put our journaling in place. And I have some rhinestones that I had, these circles, I think maybe buttons or something that I was going to put on my sketch. And I couldn't decide. They were supposed to go to the upper right corner of that, upper right part of that circle, and that's where they ended up. At first I thought maybe they needed to go around at the bottom since I moved the snowflake that's on the bottom over a little bit to the left. And I'll be using glossy accents to glue these items on. Could use Tombow, but I kind of like glossy accents for doing sequins. And I started placing the sequins, and then I thought the best way to do these is sort of scatter them out where I think I want them to be, and then pick them up and glue them on. And I've also added a date sticker next to that lower snowflake.
So we followed our sketch with our circle photo, our 5x7, journaling over here, just a little bit more around the title and scattered out the sequins. I moved my snowflake over a bit, and we used the die cuts from the silhouette with a little bit of iridescent ice embossing powder on those. Finally got to use this pretty blue background paper. So I think this conveys the glistening sort of thing that we got out of the one winter event that we had last winter. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I love to get a thumbs up if you like it. Oh, I did forget to mention I added some more of these stickers. I like that one so much. I did some more of the word stickers. I don't tend to use those quite as much as I should, so I've got quite a few of them. But thanks for watching. And stay tuned for more videos.